Hello, bright, beautiful souls, you. Loving it. So, my friends, today I would like to chat about my shamanic path and healing journey. And if this resonates with you at all, that tells me one thing: you are a master. There is something that you are aware of that you have that comes so freaking easy to you that you don't even recognize it. When you start to recognize that, you start to recognize, see, and accept your gifts. So, following my shamanic initiation, which was a near death experience or a death experience, I did technically die. That brought me an incredible and insane amount of awareness. And in that space between spaces, all of my memories were activated, all of my DNA, it seems, or at least a great more than what was originally activated. And through that has led me to an insane life, dealing with ghosts, spirits, exorcisms, the unknown, healing, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, on all these different levels. And all of it led me and gave me an incredible drive to study the esoteric. In human design, when we look at the mandala, the whole view, we see the type of energy that makes us up. Around the mandala, there's four parts. My energy is all in the mutation. My purpose is filled through mutation. And it doesn't matter really what I say on here, which when I found that out, when I realized that in my human design chart, it really freaking, it makes me laugh now. At first, I was really pissed, but now I think it's hilarious because the energy or the thing that the collective wants from me is that mutation. Now, if I can combine that energy with some logical actual value, that's money in the bank. And healing my money blocks, my mental loops around how I thought about myself, my self-worth, it all started by letting go of some very deep shame. Deep shame. And I'm about to get very vulnerable with all of you. I was a cutter when I was a kid. And for the longest time, even though my body hides my scars pretty well, I was always hyper aware of them. And I would judge the ever living shit out of myself for it. And that would look as judgments, my judgments of other people. I would cast that feeling, that energy on them because I wanted to get rid of it. And in that, I'd create a whole bunch of drama and a whole bunch of micro habits that kept me in that cycle. So healing was really realizing what micro habit I was engaging in that was giving me that feeling or creating that experience. When we stop engaging in those micro habits, our experience has no choice but to change. And now once we realize that, we stop engaging in those micro habits and simply start doing small little things. It's a transitionary period. So one of my small little habits, my little nervous tick, is chewing on the inside of my cheek. And that in itself is a form of self-mutilation because I'm harming my body. And I'm doing it because there's so much energy in me and I'm not getting it out that creates the feeling of anxiety. I have to express this energy. And energy, all energy wants to be expressed. So from my first initiating experience, following my journey, it's really been quite amazing. One of my favorite experiences was being a death doula. And it was the very first time I was, what's the word I'm looking for? If you forget, start tapping your third eye and it'll call the memory or the thought back. It was the first time I was exposed to the frequencies. A friend of mine that I was working with named Rayvon, her and I we did a lot together. We taught a lot of different stuff. This particular class was Course in Miracles. And we were just loving it. It was so fun. I think we had like 15, 18 people. And all of that brought a great amount of satisfaction to my life. I see, just like right there, I lost that train of thought. So anyway, moving on. Oh, being the frequencies. See, once I accepted that the thought was gone, it immediately came right back. But anyway, the frequencies. She would tell me that she was a death doula. She would go to hospice patients that were in transition and didn't have any family or anyone, and just sit with them and play her angel harp. This harp was specifically made for her by another friend of hers, and it was so beautiful, so freak. I loved. We would sit there for hours while she played it, and you could feel an angelic presence wash over you as she played it. And so fast forward, I became super interested in that. And when she first told me about it, I signed up for it, volunteer. And there was always people, unfortunately, there was always people that didn't have others. And I would sit and listen to their stories. I'd get a phone call that a person was in transition or would be in transition very soon. And then if I had the free time, I would go and sit with them for a little while, just chit chat. And then when they were in active transition, I'd get a phone call. And if I could, I'd go and just sit there and be with them so they weren't alone. I loved doing that. That gave me a great sense of satisfaction. And being able to observe Raven playing her heart frequencies was so very cool. And also being psychic, I got to see a whole slew of different things, really. Being able to see energy, I would see angels, like you would see in a picture, and I would see columns of light just moving about the room. And then sometimes I would see like an eye or a hand, just a limb, depending which specific frequency she would play. It was very fascinating. And then that also led me down the road of the paranormal. After I had that awakening, I asked, what is the greatest thing that I could do with this gift? How could I serve the best? And that was the answer. It was very immediate. Research the paranormal. That's why I had early paranormal experiences. That made me curious and gave me the drive to research them. And then as I got more engaged in that research, I found out that a lot of people needed that because there weren't very many that could help someone in that situation. And the thing that makes me blows my mind even to this day is how simple it was. All I had to do was listen to their story. They just wanted to be heard. And as I did that, as I listened, I was able to point out, again, micro habits that they engaged in that created loops of poor mindset, poor energy habits that kept their energy very low. They were leaking energy all over the place, which made it very easy for things of that nature to manifest and materialize in their life because they were wide open to it. One of the first fundamental principles of magic or energy work is like attracts like. When I do a healing on someone, there is a direct relation to something within me, this mirror. And as I am able to heal that in myself, I am the program of what that looks like and how that functions, how that feels like to the person that I'm facilitating the healing with. Once their system has that, it will naturally incorporate it to bring itself into a state of balance. If there's resistance to it, then I would suggest focusing on the gut. The cleaner the gut, the better the energy system. And by no means am I perfect, my friends. No, I still eat my sugary snacks, and sometimes I'll down a soda. But more often than not, I drink water, and I eat more healthier than I don't. And in that, I've been able to balance my chemicals in my brain or in my body. So if you've ever had any type of diagnosis of chemical imbalance, I would highly encourage you, and this is just something, this is not medical advice by any means, it is something I found very beneficial for myself. I'm just sharing a story. I was given all those diagnoses when I was younger, put on several different types of medication that really did not work. And it wasn't like they didn't, I still couldn't really function. Taking care of my gut has been the biggest help with my mental health. After my awakening, I find this is so amusing to me now. I wouldn't want to eat nothing but dark leafy greens. That's all I like. Just the thought of raw spinach would make me salivate. I wanted it so freaking much. I was like, oh, I couldn't get enough of it. And I think for like, I don't remember now, like 6 to 8 months, that's all I ate. I would, I think like after a month, I started getting some lunch meat, and I would incorporate that into the salad, but I'd make a giant bowl of salad and just mow the hell out of that thing. And that cleared my mind, that made my body really strong. I didn't hurt, and it stabilized my mood. Like that was the first time in my life that I could remember actually being in a stable mood for a consistent period of time. And just incorporating more and more of that into my daily life. And that is why it's important to understand the things that give us energy. That it's when I walk the path of the shaman, I'm looking for those energy eggs. And then transmuting or translating that energy. We all do this. Every single person. We all have an internal compass that will help guide us. It requires that we live authentically. And that is a beautiful question right there. What does it mean to live authentically? To express your truth? You know, just a year ago, I could not sit here and say this. I tried. I could literally not get the words out of my throat. They were literally stuck here. I couldn't speak them. And if I tried to force myself, it would come out mumbly and jumbly. It wouldn't make any sense. And that just reinforced my fear of being misunderstood. That was one of my biggest fears. And just the fact that I can say that on here now, guys, is huge to me. Because that means that fear no longer controls me. I've taken my power back. I've healed and integrated that fear. That's what I help people do, really. That is what's called a soul retrieval. That fear was so deeply rooted in me, caused me to take part of my psyche and put it away. Because that told me through a story that I lived years ago that wasn't safe. And I did not have the tools or the resources or the awareness of how to integrate that and what to do with it. So it just stayed there, locked away. And that created an opening for all kinds of entities, astral nasties, thought forms to come in and interact with my field because it was holy. They were able to. I needed that extra energy that I was using to push that thing away to fill my field. I cut myself off. But it was through doing that yeah, I learned some hard fucking lessons and some rough dark nights of the soul. But each and every single one of them I was guided through by the unknown, by some unknown force. I was guided through each and every one. And I sought so much and so long to be able to put a name to that force. And it's called by many. Currently using the Maya, this all around us, life itself. And in that, we are able to do so much. We can create anything. We bring our power and our focus and attention back into the present moment. And it gives us presence, the presence of ourself. And that's really what my shamanic path has been, knowing myself. Over the temples of Delphi and the temples of ancient Greece, if you were to walk in to be a healer or anything, if you walked into one of them, it was always know thyself was the first step. How do we know ourselves? There's journeying, there's drumming, there's self-reflection, there's chanting. Like there's a whole slew of tools and modalities that we can use. And I invite each and every one of you, find something that causes a visceral feeling in your body. And what I mean by that is this: a feeling that you physically feel that feels expansive. It will start at a point in your body and radiate outwards. Most of the time, people miss this because we're so distracted. That's where meditation and mindfulness come in. The more we can tune in and be in our body, the greater awareness we have of that. And then we can start really doing the work is just building a relationship with ourselves, building that relationship with that aspect of ourselves. So then we feel guided, we feel loved, we feel protected, we feel understood and seen and heard. That is the part that is missing. If any of your messaging feels off, if you're struggling with your voice, that's a great place to start. Hey Scott, thanks for tuning in, man. Appreciate having you. And yeah, like what's on your mind? Like give us something. What would you like to talk about? Anything in particular? doing that exercise right there, I would have to see it in so many different ways before I would actually believe it and accept it. And I would challenge myself. And in that, I explored and learned so many different modalities to help. Meditation, yes. And my friends, everyone needs to meditate. If everyone did just 5 minutes of this, it would be phenomenal. Breathe in, 1, breathe out, 2. That right there has helped me be able to tune into my body more than anything else. And it's so simple, which is one of the reasons why it often gets overlooked, because it's simple. We don't have to go and have these extreme experiences. We're more than welcome to if we would like to. But all we need to do is simply take in the breath of life and be present. That is a great step to be able to start really incorporating meditation to everyday life. Heck yeah, I do too. And oh, Scott, thanks for bringing that up, dude. It was so cool today. Everyone, I taught my daughter how to sage. I had her sage the house for the first time. And we started introducing the concepts of spirit guides. She's always heard me speak of them, but I've yet to actually really sit down with her and help her learn how to work with hers. But she is doing so beautifully all on her own, really, which is why I have it. And she loves foxes and wolves right now. Yeah, that is very cool. And how do we speak with our spirit guides? That's a great question, too. We speak with them. Yes, it does. Saging always helps. There is a whole slew of conscious energy that wants to help us, but it cannot until we give it permission, until we ask for help. Here's a great example. I was chatting with a friend earlier today where they told me they had a breakdown, right? They just let everything go, let it all out. And in that, and after that, the clarity and the answer that was needed to alleviate the anxiety came to that person like that. That was a way that her spirit guides were holding the answer. Say, right here is the help that you need. When you can let go and trust that there is some support there, you can make that connection. And meditating on if there is a specific type of animal that has always drawn your attention, meditate. Learn one thing new about that animal every day. And what that will do is that will foster connection between you and the energy that that animal represents. Ask yourself, what characteristics do you and the animal share? This is a crazy story. When about 10 years ago, when I was going through my divorce, it was coming to the end of winter, and I was laying there going through it. It was super shit. It was just fucking shit, plain and simple. And as I finally laid down to go to bed, I closed my eyes and this image of an owl just appeared. And it was so vivid and strong. And it wouldn't go away. It just kept floating there. When I opened my eyes, the way my bed was, here was my bed, and there was a window. My window was right here that faced my back deck. The blind was open. An owl was sitting on my back deck looking at me through the window. And that night, I had a very powerful dream. I dreamt I was in the records. I was in this giant library, and I was studying this book, sitting at a table. And when I first opened the book, it was blank. And then as I focused on it, my face, like the energy, it just felt like this column of light went from my face into the book, and I started getting information, downloads from it. And then I pulled back, and as I pulled back, it separated that. And then my ex-wife appeared to me in the dream. And she was sitting on a ledge, bouncing her leg. And she looked at me and she says, I've fallen in love with someone else. I am leaving. And I said, I know. I wish you the best. I went back to my book. Then it was about 2 weeks after that that me and my ex actually split. But the owl, what fascinated me the most about that experience was the characteristics of the owls and how the owls give us keen insight and the ability to see into the dark, to see into the depth, which is a huge part of my human design. I am one designed to be able to look into the abyss, into the depth. Scott, dude, if you're still with us hanging out, man, what are some of your guides? And how do you communicate with them, dude? I had a dream of opening my eyes, seeing two beings staring at me, floated out of my body, and flew over to a window, and then suddenly flew out into the street and up into the sky. Oh, that's super cool. So that really sounds like astral traveling. And to anyone who may not be familiar with that, that is simply the ability to project our consciousness outside of our body. It's a very fun and fascinating experience. So thank you for sharing that, Scott. Nice. What wisdom have you gleaned from it? And is that was that your first time, man? Or is that pretty normal for you? Or I'm sorry, how I don't know how to phrase it, but is that something you've experienced before? Cool. What did you take away from the experience? And so, one of the things that I've learned with my travels, man, is even if I don't immediately have the awareness, the cognitive awareness of what I was given, that information exists in my field. And as I really sit with myself and meditate, that information becomes much easier for me to download, I guess, decompress and become aware. I belong in the clouds traveling and feel I should be traveling the stars. Nice. How do you connect with the star people? Excuse me. When I did this for my very first time, Mount, one second, Mount Moriah. There was a mountain in, well, a giant hill, really, in Ohio that is steeped in paranormal and energetic activity. Mount Vernon was it. When I went there, I was able to make contact with a group experience. There was a group of about 10 of us. We all had the shared experience of going up into the stars and being on board a ship and talking to various entities. And the individual entities that we were communicating with, that was the unique experience to each individual. But I thought it so fascinating that we all described the ship the same way. And we wrote it down before we shared it. So it wasn't like one person heard it and we tried to set that type of parameter. Oh yeah. Going through that, dude, I found that I am a Palladian. And about, what was it, 3 or 4 years ago, I had this reoccurring dream for like a week. And I was just aware of space, and there was a voice that said I was an intergalactic shaman. an alchemist, and just chalked it up to having a vivid imagination. But the more that I dove into that and actually started really working at my ancestral roots, heal the root to heal the tree, the more of that awareness came to me. And I seen a whole life that I had there. I was married, had children, and a scientist. I've always loved to research it, it would seem. The energy that makes up this physical vessel, that is something that is always, it's always craved to do. And you do. By having that first experience, you establish the first connection. And now strengthen it and grow it. It just takes time, my friend. Very cool. Dude, when you were little, were you when you went to go to bed and all the lights were off, would you see little spheres of light floating around your room? I would all the time. And I would hold an image in my head, and then those spheres of light would take the shape of whatever picture I was holding. That is so wild. That is so very cool. And that taught me a lot about energy work. And that's interesting. That gives us the first principle of hermetics, the law of mentalism. The universe is mental. It is a mental constructive hologram that responds to our mental hologram in here. Whatever we think here, we see reflected out here. That's what as above, so below, as within, so without means. And we take that first principle, we can use that a lot, really. What do we want to construct in here? And dude, something that really helped me too was learning to construct my astral temple. So when I go inside my head, when I go inward, I go into a beautiful temple that I have built over the past 22 years. And each time I go in there, I add something to it. I add more energy to it. It could be anything from a simple shape to a complex structure. And that place always gives me a sense of home, a starting point. And I forget where I first read it. It was in one of the books I was studying about magic. That building that astral temple was one of the first things to really ground us and structure us so that we could make traveling easier. I should be learning this and helping them. Since I was a kid, I could visually see shapes. Yes, I did. Explains why I built structure. Yes. No, you're not the only one. And I think it was, Madame Blavatsky. And Scott, dude, if you haven't checked her out, super cool lady. She was a very renowned esoterist. Um, for 50s, I think. So, but she talked about structures in the mind, and her and Aleister Crowley, by working together, she was able to physically move and manipulate physical objects in the environment. That was very cool. And even though Crowley himself, I'm not a very huge fan of his teachings, I do find bits and pieces of truth in there from time to time. But no, my friend, you are not the only one. In fact, that is one of the first, what's the word I'm looking for? Initiations into the sacred work, into the inner alchemical work. When we hold different shapes in our mind, in our energy field, we create different frequencies. Now we're getting into sacred geometry and the Merkaba, the light body. When we activate different patterns in our chakras, it creates a synergy, and that synergy has a unique effect. When we activate the Merkaba, it creates a shield. In a lot of the esoteric texts, they talk about the armor of God. That's what this is. And the chariot of light. It is this light field around your physical body that makes anything that is detrimental to it impossible to get through to penetrate you. It is burned off into the field because it's alchemized. If you've ever, and anyone, if you've ever imagined yourself dead, that right there is the beginning, the very first stage of initiation. And what that does is teach us about the observer. When I first read that, I was like, wow. Since I was like 12, I thought, a gazillion different ways I imagined myself to die. And it wasn't until I read it in a book, the whole passage, that it really clicked. Because it asked this question at the end. And what did that teach you? Did it show you that no matter how many times or how many ways that you died, there was still something observing your death? And there was. That's where we first learn about the observer. We learn that we are not the physical shell, nor are we the mental construct either. We are the thing that observes both. And in that observation, we form the triangle. And in order for physical energy to manifest in the environment, it needs this, the triangle. We have an active force, passive force, and then a neutral force. That neutral force keeps the active and the passive in balance. And again, where they talk about this in the Hermetics, they talk about a pendulum. So as we have that observer, as that light, that awareness comes down, it can then swing from side to side, resonating with the left or the right. And it doesn't matter which one it resonates with. The swing will be equal either way. So you're really going to resonate with one side, you're going to really resonate with the other side. And that right there is born full of paradoxes. And the heart center is the place where all paradoxes meet and can rest. Tune into it. Hey, Christy. Hey, guys. And Scott, dude, with the orbs, the mist, and the feeling something near you, tune into it. I always have, and I always found it to be a fascinating experience either way. And dude, take out your phone and get a voice recording app and see if you can record it. That's always fun to do too. Oh, I love you guys. So anyone tuning in within the cauldron, you can find me over there too. They are some super awesome people with some great and fantastic knowledge. And how did the kids, well, the kids are there. Did they leave to go to the festival or not yet? Oh, I hope they have so much fun. That looks so cool. And that's an important thing too coming up. This Saturday, I believe, is it this Saturday? Yes, it is the solstice, the peak of the sun. It would be a great time to do the great rite and draw down the sun. When you do this, you are embodying God in yourself, and you are illuminating your inner being so that you can establish that connection with it. Yeah, sun energies. The moon energies helps us to navigate the shadows. The sun energies helps us to alchemize them. In alchemy, there is a Latin term that's called han to pan. And what that means is always seek the light of self-awareness. Heck yeah, great refresher for life. Yeah. And this technique or ritual is open to both male and female because we have both within us. We have the masculine, the feminine, the passive, the active. We have all three, really. And that's where the Holy Trinity comes from: the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. The maiden mother, the crone, the Father, Son, sage. Three is a very powerful number because they all talk about the observer, the active, and the passive force. And when we really learn that, we can then utilize these forces consciously for our benefit. Working with them requires that we stand in integrity. To thy own self always be true. Most of the time we get caught up in the bullshit lies, the stories that we tell ourselves. I'm not good enough for this, I'm not that, I'm not that. That's all crap. Every bit of that. Oh, insane repeating numbers. We'll get into that too in a minute. But that conditioning was put there by people that you intimidated, and they simply just didn't know how to handle it properly. You are always enough. Just being you. You are unique. And you have, every single person alive has a unique purpose that they can fulfill. And if you want to explore more than that, happy to help you break that down. Get a hold of me for a human design reading. It is fascinating. Love it. And Scott, dude, what repeating numbers do you see the most, man? 333? Oh, I just seen it now. Oh, that frequency, that is a frequency. 333 hertz is the empowerment frequency. Oh, this is fascinating. I love tensor rings. So that's what this copper ring right here, this relates to the ascension frequency and actually helps with the ascension process. This helps me to awaken and stabilize dormant strands of my DNA, as well as process and transmute all of the things that come out from that. Super cool. And they're very easy to make. The frequency for 333 are 31.23 inches. But if you wanted to make it, just do a quick Google search for the frequency length of 333. Angels are telling you something. Oh, oh. Angels are telling. Okay, one thing at a time. Focus, Mike. Angels are telling something. Absolutely, the angels are always saying something. All we've got to do is tune into them. My full name is Michael David Perry. Both of my names came from the Bible. I was named after Michael the Archangel and King David. Having that name has given me a unique connection to Archangel Michael. I have always worked with him since I first became aware that he was there. And it's really amazing. And here's a cool tip, a little technique we can try. Intone your name. So what this does, what it looks like is this. Michael. What that does when I do that, I feel that resonation move all the way down my throat, down into my root. and it activates the prana tube so that I can then connect from my core consciously to anything that I want. Very cool. And I will get back to you guys. I don't know, I might, because there is a ritual that I want to do. So I don't quite know what time I will be back. And it's out in the middle of the woods, so I'm not going to have any reception out there. And yes, always look at the connection for the angel numbers. Completely agree, guys. Oh. Wow, that is very cool, Scott. What is it like for you when you talk to him? What does it feel like? The very first time I received a direct message from him, from Archangel Michael, it kind of flipped me out a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I seen this ball of fire appear before me, and then out of that fire came a flaming sword. And I instinctively just reached out for it. And as I did that, the sword went right, like just moved right over to my chest and absorbed in my body. And ever since then, when I connect with him, it feels like flames coming down. It's kind of cool, actually, once you get used to the sensation. Calmness, understanding. Very cool, man. Oh, yes! That would make an excellent episode. Hold on, I want to write that down. Ooh! Guys, I had this thought the other day. So for ghost hunting, we look for EMF fields. That's one of the things that we look for during ghost hunting. So if we picked up an EMF field that doesn't belong in the environment, like there's no electrical source, so to speak, that we could, kind of tell or defer that it's coming from. If that EMF field, if we had a digital K2 meter that could read out the specific wavelength of that field, could we then tune something like a radio to that specific frequency to see if we could make a clear communication or establish a line of communication? Does that make sense? And he's drawn to me. Heck yeah. And Archangel Michael's a busy guy. That archetype and that energy serves many, serves the entire cosmos, really. That is why he is revered so much. And this is something that I found really intriguing. For the longest time, I asked him to show me his truest form. And for many years, I kept getting, you couldn't comprehend it, so you could never actually see it. So then I asked him, okay, well, help me comprehend it. What do I need to do? How can I expand my consciousness so that I can perceive your truest form? Side note, asking that question was a phenomenal experience, but it was hard. And I was told I did not know what I asked, which I didn't at the time, because that really, it expanded me greatly. And when I did perceive his form, it was just an eye. It was a giant eye that saw across all planes of time and space. And in that, they said, this is the most efficient form. This is all that is required so that I may maintain and use my energy efficiently. And that's something I share in common. I've always sought ways to use my energy efficiently. So yes, vibrational rates and total, yes, that is super cool. Oh, man, My kids are still home for the summer. Normally they go with their mom, and they're always stealing my pens, man. So tonal rates. And that is one of the things that I find so interesting about human design is when we look at our gates and then we look at the lines of the gates, that actually breaks down the tonal line of that specific frequency that makes up our DNA. Gene keys are so freaking fascinating, and that's a whole nother layer deeper than human design. And Chris and Chrissy, I hope everyone is doing very well. Hey, I get that. My ex-wife thought I was nuts too, until I started showing her that there was practical ways to apply this information. Start doing that, man. But my friend, you are not nuts. Well, at least not in that way. Yeah, he is very healing. Archangel Michael can be involved in all matters associated with career, sports, personal, finances, ambition, bureaucracy, officiation, and other health of the physical body. Yes. And the lesser banishing ritual. I used that ritual a lot while I was clearing houses. Demonstrate, my friend. The more that we can demonstrate, the more people will begin to understand. But anyway, and holding space there. Oh, I lost that train of thought. The healing angel. Oh, the lesser banishing ritual. This ritual, Michael seems to be the two fit very well. And when you do this, you're invoking the greater pentagram. So you're invoking a shape, a very specific energetic shape into the energetic space. And each point of that shape, each point of the star, is associated with a different prima element: earth, air, fire, water, spirit. And there's mixed and matched many different, I've seen it a lot of different ways depending on the specific path and teaching that you're following. But anyway, when I would do this, I would see as I drew that pentagram, Archangel Michael would draw it with me. And when we completed it, when we finished it, those two, it would create a field of light between the two and expand out, encompassing the entire place and everyone in it. It would encompass everything. And then what I came to understand is that was actually activating the violet flame. Because as that light would expand out, it would turn into a violet flame. And in that, everything would be transmuted. My very first shamanic mentor was a very big fan of the violet flame and his techniques. And his partner, his beloved, Miss Cynthia, if you see this, dear, much love. Hope you and the children are well. And we need to reach out and let's connect. But she's a very, very well versed in the violet flame, and actually has taught me quite a bit. And that's a very powerful alchemical process. I'm glad you guys are doing good. That's very awesome to hear. Me and the kiddos are good, having a blast. Yeah, same thing. And again, like things of that nature are known by many different names because it's universal and archetypal. It doesn't belong just to one teaching or sect. And in fact, that's the very nature of the flame itself, is to be transformed. And as it gives of itself so freely, to everyone. Everyone is able to put their uniqueness to it. And we are able to create something truly, truly unique and genuine. And my friends, that is what I mean when I say we are creating a new earth. We are creating a new way of governing ourselves, new systems, new everything. And as we allow that to unfold and we embody more of our true essence of who we really are, we remember. We remember dancing with the wind. We remember swimming in the deepest of the oceans, playing with the salamanders in the fire. We remember our magic. One of my favorite teachers, Abraham Hicks, she talks about this a lot, that we are the magic. When we understand that the energy that literally creates the entire cosmos flows through, within, and around us, we understand ourselves on a such deep and profound level. So, yeah, okay, off the tangent now, but that is very cool. Absolutely. Ooh, we are our own magic. That'd actually be a great name for a book, if it's not, probably already is. So, in walking my path, the Red Road, which is what it's called in Native American, it's been full of so many unique challenges, but so many profound meanings. And to circle back to touch again on the being a death doula, my friends, I witnessed a miracle. It was the craziest freaking thing. I got called to go and sit with this lady, and she was close to the actual transition. And we chatted for a little bit. Super cool lady, had a ton of cool stories. Um, Unfortunately, just outlived all of her family. And when we did that, she she ended up going. She she had cancer, and it didn't go into remission. It just vanished from her body. She just got better. She got kicked out of hospice to the point. So after that, she left the hospital and went home with an A, just to see, if it was a fluke or not. But after about 3 weeks of that aid being there every day, she got better and better and better. And then eventually, just like, sorry, you're not dying, so you don't get this anymore. And I didn't really recognize that for what it was. That's a miracle. And I got to witness it like that. It's something very profound to me, and makes me feel very honored and loved that the universe conspired everything in the entire cosmos to give me that experience. It's a great thing to appreciate, my friends. Let's see here. Yes, we are own magic, always. This change in me happened a year ago. I told her that her being who she knows 2 years ago is not here, but has transformed into a different being. Absolutely. And you continue to do that. And to tie in Abraham Hicks, one of the things that she says is that we are on the leading edge of creation. And that really, when I first heard her say that, that resonated with me immediately. It always has. But I wanted to, like, a way to conceptualize it. And when I applied that with the Mayan calendar back in 2012, is that up until that point, there was enough forethought, or enough for creation, I guess, that was determined or could be seen up to that point. And then after that point, there wasn't, because no one or no thing has gone farther than that before. And that's what it means to stand on the leading edge of creation. We create with our magic every day. Yes, magic is inside of us and all around us. New name for a new book. When are you writing it? When I get over my bullshit, you are so right. I totally need to write a book. And honestly, I have. Complete transparency, I have written 3 books and I have destroyed them all because I did not think they were any good. And like, I've always wanted to share these things with, do this. And it's so simple. Like, just click the button, go, start talking. That's literally the basic of all we have to do. But yet we get so wrapped up in our head of wanting to make it look perfect and polished and this and that. I prefer the raw, the real. I prefer truth. Hmm. So yes, actually, my first book, well, I have a self-published poetry book, and I never advertise it, but I do have one. And in that, it's 11 poems to create inspiration anytime, anywhere. All you have to do is read one. They're quite beautiful. So if anyone is interested in that, let me know and I'll happily share the link. The book is $7, and $2 of that goes to native reservations. So that is very cool. But the book, the title that I was given years ago was called Speaking from the Heart. Miss Chrissy coming right at you. But speaking from the heart, I have tried to write that book so many freaking times. Like, oh my goodness, I could not even count the many times I've tried to write that book. So, my friends, what do we got for? I've always gotten hung up on the subtitle. So, speaking from the heart, a guide to your own magic. Oh, see right there. See that clarity? Love it. Speaking from the heart. A guide to your own magic. Beautiful. Oh, that actually really kind of lights me up. I wanna I wanna start writing now. Mm. Magic from the heart. Speaking from the heart. Magic from the heart. Mm. I like that a lot. That actually is a great fucking title for a chapter for this. Thank you, my friends. Yeah, I used to do that too. And honestly, some days, if I were to get adopted, it would feel more like a rescue mission at this point. Oh, that is super cool. And sometimes, like I've done cases where people have called me and thinking that they're haunted, they have a ghost, when in reality they ended up having ETs, thought forms that manifested as entities that would torment them or just irritate them to the point where they felt no sense of peace. And using the lesser banishing ritual with the help of Michael and all the archangels, we were able to rid that space of them. And then they were able to fill that space with something that was better. And that allowed them to heal. So that was, I always loved doing that. That was so much fun to me. Right, guys? Yeah, come on. Party time. Let's go. Deuces, guys. You're good. You're on track. Just keep going. Oh, that's so funny. I love that. And I joined, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it correctly, Muffin, Muffon, I think it was. But it was a, a network of UFO researchers to where any type, so people would send in a report to the central database, and then the reporters would get dispatched to go get an eyewitness testimony. And we had a whole list of things that we had to go through and answer, and then come back and fill in the report. It was a great way to get data for it. It was very cool. And we did that for about 3 years. That was kind of, we came across that on the downslide of our paranormal investigation. And even that, oh my goodness. So they have in Ohio, it's called Hidden Ohio Map. And someone, was a genius business idea, really. Someone mapped out all the haunted locations, cryptoid sightings, UFO sightings all around Ohio, and then just mapped out where they are, and then gave a little description of them on the back. And those things sold like hotcakes. And I have one to this. I still have one. And there's times that I find it sprawled out on my bed, like someone was reading it. And it's up high in the closet. My kids, A, don't know where it's at, and B, can't reach it without like getting a chair or something. So it's not them getting it. And it's always intrigued me. And I'm feeling really called to get back into the field. I miss investigating so much. It was so much fun, but time consuming. And if anyone that's interested in investigating, think about this. Say you're at a place for 10 hours or 6 hours even, but you have 4 cameras. Okay, that's a total of 24 hours of footage that has to be gone through. And in order to really know if you've got something, that footage has to be gone through. So it can be a time-consuming challenge. Oh, so now we're back here. They can do that, right? I've had to do that with Sage one day. I felt unease and did a ritual. Awesome. Ooh, what was the name of the documentary? Jeff Woolwine has 2 books out, one on Phoenix Lights and his new one, Tuscan Lights. Ooh, that sounds very cool. Okay. I miss having a group. I keep thinking about starting one, but I just don't freaking have that kind of time. And honestly, like every time that something like that has gotten started here, it turned into being a hookup. I don't know the word. The dude that ran the last one that I did or went to, like just kind of used it to get laid, which neither really here or there. I didn't really care. Two consenting adults go do whatever you want to do. But they brought a bunch of drama because he was sleeping with married women. So it just totally messed up the energy. Didn't respect the space. Oh, Chris, dude, I was just thinking about this yesterday. So I used to sit on the council of the Center for Shamanic Studies that Michael Hanner formed. And all it really was, um, I thought it would be a really cool way to learn some, drumming techniques and traveling and there was a little bit of that, but mostly what it was talking about ethics and how to use this appropriately, like how to use our magic appropriately. So, yeah, spiritual ethics. Mm. And for the longest time, I got bored, so I stopped. But that is a very important topic. When we are sovereign in our energy, we are caretakers of this planet, of the earth, our mother. Very cool. And that gives us rights as well as responsibilities so that our generations, our future is secured and stable. The energy felt more threatening, so I called upon the angels to cleanse the space and cross over the spirit. Very excellent. Yes. Hmm. I was talking with somebody I met out about, oh, excuse me, about spirits and that. And anyone that is experiencing activity like that, one of the most important things is not to be afraid of it, because all it really is just energy that is stuck in a loop. And that's it. And because it's stuck in a loop, it becomes chaotic and it builds momentum when it's fed. If you are feeding it fear, you're just giving it more and more energy, and eventually it's able to manifest in the environment. No, Scott, really good job, dude. Yeah, that's nice. And as we progress through the awakening and through the transmutation that we're going through, we need more people that can do this thing. There's so much trauma and karma that is being burnt up right now. It's ridiculous. It is huge. So, well done, my friend. Keep on learning. And if you're interested, dude, on the channel here, there is a right, Chrissy, the unified chakra meditation. That meditation is very powerful for helping you create self-awareness and coming into yourself by aligning the 12 closest layers of your aura when we go into alignment. And it's not very long. I think it's like 11 minutes, dude. So, and there's frequencies over there too to help. Oh, and Chrissy, I meant to tell you guys this too. The Omari O Om Mahdi Padre Om chant. I've been experimenting with that, of how it shifts the energy of a room, and just playing that frequency seems to really clear, like super clear the room. That's very cool, very powerful. Yeah, that's on there. I think it is. I need to do some more meditations on the podcast. One of the reasons why I don't do more on there is because it's like this. Like this video right here is totally unscripted. I felt inspired. I sat down and I did it. The more that, and that's how these things flow to me. That's how I like it the best. Because I get too caught up trying to make it freaking perfect. Perfectionist. Completely agree. And anyone that comes across this, if you're interested in growing a YouTube channel or any social media platform for that matter, get on a train. So, like what we're chatting here about in the comments is my content goes out on their channel, their audience, their content goes out on my channel and mine. We help each other grow and we piggyback off each other. Thank you, my friend. Much love. Much love. And right there, that was my shadow or fear of being judged. That's alchemized. It does not create anxiety or fear within me. I don't feel any fear. And oh, speaking of that, speaking of mm, the violet flame and all of that, this book right here is, oh my goodness, right? That's why I always prefer collaboration over competition. The universe is abundant enough for all of us. Yeah, yeah, I hear you, Scott. And that's an interesting dance between you two of how you balance that. So that's very cool. But this book is Saint Germain on alchemy, formulas for self transformation. Oh yeah. And in here they talk about on chapter 5, I think it is, commanding consciousness. Oh, chapter 8, my bad. This is very, very interesting. To know nature, know thyself, but master the art of the sacred synthesis. Thereby the justice of truth shall be served to integrate within the field of knowing that the inner relatively in the cosmic measurement between nature and the self, whose precise mathematical action indicates that as God geometricizes, so man is able to systematically perceive and demonstrate a correlated understanding of the wondrous works of God's hand. And um, yes, new knowledge is always interesting. This really goes deep, deep into the alchemical work. And you know what? Here is a super simple exercise. This activates your internal alchemy process. Everyone has one, and this technique activates it. Chrissy, I think I have it on PDF. I'll send it over. Let me double check. If not, I know where I can get it, but I still would advise getting the paperback. Ooh, it's a great book. So this process to activate our internal alchemy, it's, again, super simple, but it's a little bit backwards. So when we breathe in, we want to pull our stomach in. Now, when we breathe out, we push the stomach out. We're going to do 7 of these in a row. Very welcome. And as I did that, I could feel the channel start at my root. I felt the energy rise and go all the way up, setting not so much right here in the third eye, but just above it, like the space between the crown and the third eye. There's another chakra there. Oh my goodness, look at this. It's been an hour and 20 minutes and it hasn't even felt like 5 because this is so much fun. I love this. And yeah, thanks for everybody for hanging out and tuning in. Another thing that Saint Germain talks about in the book is not allowing fear to enter in your design. So when we're talking about the mental constructs, we hold an image, we visualize a result that we want. But the moment we start to think about that, immediately 1,000 reasons come flooding in that we just can't stop, of why it won't work, what's wrong with us, all of that. That is all bullshit. We need to get that out of our head. And doing that exercise that we just did activates your internal process to help you remove that and to decondition that. In human design, that's what they call it, the deconditioning process. And you decondition by using your intuition, by tuning into yourself. You have an internal compass that will always guide you correctly. You just have to build a relationship with it. And in the ancient what are they called? Alchemical symbolisms, the alchemical imagery. There is a picture of a man on a cloud and an angel on a cloud, the angel's reaching down, the man's reaching up, and they're almost touching like this. When we break that image down symbolically, that gives us the understanding that all we have to do is take an action. Reach out for the help, reach out for the connection, and it will be there. Okay, so once we understand that, then the next question is how? And the very first thing that any book I have ever studied said, know thyself, and to thyself always be true. Our integrity is one of the things, if not the thing, that makes the magic work. And I find that so fascinating that, I'm heading off to bed, need sleep, but Mike, looking inside is a key, something I need to work. Thanks for tuning in, Scott, dude. Have a great night and bright blessings, brother. And you're absolutely right. We all need to do that. But when we stand in our truth and our integrity, it opens the heart. That's the frequency of the heart chakra. Yes, it's associated with love, but the thing that makes it work, the mechanics, is integrity. And the thing that I find so fascinating with this is scientists have discovered that one of, if not the most powerful frequency that a human being is capable of emitting is authenticity. Being genuine and real. When we are able to do that, the whole universe becomes our oyster. And quite right, Scott, I got to get to bed too. I got to get up early. But if you guys would like more information around that, check out Dr. David Hawkins. He wrote out the map of consciousness and how we move up through the different spheres of consciousness. And he created a system using kinesiology, muscle testing, so that we could always have an accurate discernment of the truth. Very cool. And as always, my friends, from my heart to yours, there is much love for us all here. Bright blessings, and have a beautiful night. I'll see you guys later. Bye.